Fans to another edition of the Three Man Weave. We are joining you from the United Center press room right now. Currently, another basketball game going on after IU goes down to Wisconsin, 68-56. So we're doing our video in here. Obviously, a disappointing day for Hoosiers everywhere. Wisconsin just seems to have IU's number, making it now 12 straight games. Wisconsin's beat IU. Guys, what did you see in this one that led IU down to defeat?
Go ahead. It was a little surprising in the first half. Teams were trading baskets a little bit. IU was able to muster up a 22-16 lead after Jared Bergeron goes out with his second foul and ends up going out for the rest of the half. And you kind of wonder, you're thinking, all right, they've got a 6-point lead. Their big man's out. Can IU start to gain some momentum from that and build a little bit of a lead? And it was really quite the opposite. Wisconsin came back with a 10-0 run of their own, and with the help of some great three-point shooting from several players. And in some ways, IU, I think, was a little lucky to go into the half just down 3.
Mm-hmm. To me, it felt like it was sort of a direct sequel to the first Wisconsin game at Assembly Hall. Wisconsin was Wisconsin, and I think by now we all know what that means. It's not just, to say that they just slow the game down is a little bit of an oversimplification, but they did that for much of the game. But then there were moments where they grabbed opportunities to run with the ball and beat IU at its own game, and they did that in little moments. And those felt like some of the moments that really turned a 3-point game into a 5-point game, a 5-point game into an 8-point game, etc. And, granted, this, by the numbers, this is IU's biggest loss of the season, point-wise, but I wouldn't read too much into that. A lot of it was free throws at the end. Wisconsin was hitting everything from the line because they were getting plenty of opportunities. So it was what we've seen before, and poor shooting from IU. And when IU doesn't shoot well, like almost any team, they don't win.
Yeah, and a couple of things just stood out to me in particular. IU went 1 of 9 from the three-point range in the second half. Just really, a couple of those were at the end, a little bit desperation, but still, just a poor shooting 3-point second half. Wisconsin wins the battle in the paint 30-28, and they scored their first 18 points in the paint. Wisconsin did. You can't have that, especially with this Wisconsin team, the way they're built, what they want to do. Another thing that really stood out to me were the second chance points and fast break points. Wisconsin won both of those categories, 18-11 second chance points, and then 9-5 fast break points. Obviously, Wisconsin is a team that gets back in transition very well, better than most teams in the Big Ten, really any team in the Big Ten. But on the other side, they flipped the script and then did it to IU themselves, and were able to capitalize on that. I thought that a few good games from IU, but overall, left a little bit to be desired in that case. If you want to talk about the good games, Christian Watford with 14 points, Cody Zeller.
Yeah, I thought he was the one thing that was working for them in the second half. It felt like I was really impressed by the way he muscled through traffic a couple of times, and he worked for his points and he got them, and that's something that is good for IU to see, because he had been somewhat inconsistent recently, and maybe he's peaking at the right time, but the question is anyone else, and we just don't know. I'll say Remy Abel has been quietly strong this weekend. That's worth mentioning, but by that, he's still a bench guy, and by quietly strong, 5 points yesterday, 5 points today. So you can't take too much away from it, but if they have him making bigger contributions, that is a good thing.
It's another guy to add into the mix, and I thought that Remy did have some very solid minutes like you were talking about. Another guy that had played very strong in the first game of the tournament and then struggled in the second game was Will Sheehy. We saw one of the moves early in the game. Victor Oladipo had a steal. Looked like he was about to have a 3-point basket, but Sheehy, before the ball went through the net, began to hang on the rim. Basket got waved off on a goaltending, and then Hoosiers would only get 1 point out of that sequence instead of a possible 3. And it seemed like after that, Will Sheehy just, whether it was in his head or was just pressing at that point, finished his game 1 of 7 shooting, 0 for 1 from the 3-point line. And overall, it seemed like he was pressing. And I don't know if that was the play that kind of triggered that, but even Coach Crean was yelling at him to forget that play, to put that behind him.
And I don't think he did. I think that got him off his game early. Does that continue? Hard to say. I think the fact that there will be so much time until the next game is a good thing there. I think more time to forget rather than I think if they were playing tomorrow, I think then it could have carried over.
Mm-hmm.
So that might work out for him, but still there's not a whole lot of silver lining to find here, honestly. I think the shooting, I mean you can say a team's not going to shoot the way IU did. Oh, okay. I mean, they couldn't buy a basket in the second half.
And guys, moving into the NCAA tournament, we're going to see tomorrow on Sunday where IU will be seated, what region they get. Where do you think this team's confidence level is now entering? Obviously, this was one game in the tournament, but even before this, they're now 3-3 in their last 6 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not an all-out slide or free fall into the tournament, but it's not where they thought they would be. I mean, you look at the competition, and it's the Big Ten being the Big Ten, which no one I don't think questions at this point is far and away the toughest conference in college basketball. So there's a little bit to be forgiven there, but they're not feeling great. We know that.
One thing I think everybody's been talking about how important it is that they get that Midwest #1 seed. I think by winning fairly handily yesterday, I think they did secure a #1 seed, but with the Big East final, I believe still yet to be played today with Syracuse and Louisville, Hoosier fans definitely need to be cheering on Syracuse to, just make sure that they are able to go hopefully cheer on IU in Indianapolis during the second weekend of the tournament.
Yeah, that's something to be seen.
I mean, Hoosier fans feel like they travel pretty well anywhere, but you can imagine trying to games that IU's playing, trying to get to the Final Four, playing in Indianapolis. That atmosphere, I'm sure, would just be incredible.
Exactly, it would be a bigger advantage for them to be there than almost any other team in the tournament could have at any other neutral site.
My question is, what if they don't? What happens if this will be a hypothetical at some point? But what happens if they don't get that? What happens if they are going to another section? Is that something that you should be worried about, knowing that you almost I guess you could say you somewhat had it in the bag, 1, 2, 3 weeks ago, and now you're going into the tournament on a bit of a slide, not a free fall like you said, but if that doesn't happen, is that something to be concerned about?
Perhaps. I mean, I think if I've learned anything this season, it's that the fans will travel pretty much anywhere. They traveled to New York, they traveled here. What stood out to me more than anything this season was at Northwestern when they completely outnumbered Northwestern's fans in its stadium. But so I think they will still travel. I mean, there are people spread across the country with IU ties and ties to IU basketball. So I don't think they will be at a huge disadvantage anywhere, but it's more sacrificing this huge advantage that they could have.
Well, even mindset-wise, I think that could be a little bit of a letdown if they don't get that. I think that they will still, but obviously this Louisville game coming up too will be huge. But regardless, even if they don't get the 1 seed in the Midwest region, it seems like they have done enough. Coach Green talked about it yesterday. The question was asked, what do you have to do to get that #1 seed? And he thought that they have done enough already. So,
and I don't think not getting a #1 seed is a possibility.
Yeah,
it's the Midwest #1 seed, and that's up in the air. And we just don't know until tomorrow. Truly,
go ahead.
One
thing going into the tournament that I still kind of wonder a little bit, especially after today's game, down the stretch they really couldn't buy a bucket. Jordan Hulse has really been off for a while, it seems like. Only scored, 2 points, I think, today.
And only 1 yesterday.
And only 1 point yesterday.
And today he did not have... Yesterday he scored 1, but he played some fantastic defense, looked great in his ball movement.
Yeah. I just wonder right now,
today.
With, so many close games played in March, do the Hoosiers really have someone they can rely on as a clutch shooter? Oftentimes that is Jordan Hulse pulling up from way behind the three-point line, or Christian Watford knocking down a 3. But I get the feeling that no one is really thriving from outside right now, and you kind of wonder if that might come back to hurt them right now.
I don't think they have that one guy that every team wants to have that you can always trust, but very few teams do truly have that guy. What I think may have happened, and I don't think a lot of people, myself included, would have expected this, is I think Watford may have passed Hulse as that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is, in close games, he's the guy they're looking for on threes now.
Definitely.
But we will see, and of course, you can check out all this stuff with Selection Sunday coming up tomorrow. I believe it's on CBS, so check it out. We will see you from wherever the Hoosiers end up next. At this point, it's uncertainty,
Yeah.
but wherever it is, you can check out the IDS and Hoosier Hype for all your IU basketball needs. We'll be there, and we'll be happy to be following this IU basketball team as long as they will be going in this tournament time.
Yeah.
Now it's all about the survive and advance, guys. So until then, folks, thanks for joining us. For Max McCombs, Nathan Brown, I'm Michael Norman. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Catch you later.
Take care.